This one tip will revolutionize your arm training. Been following this channel for a while, you know that I've been posting a lot of videos and playlists on how to bring up your arms, and a lot of it has worked for my audience, but it hasn't necessarily worked as much for myself. And I was always a big advocate that if it isn't broken, don't fix it, but if it is broken, then you better fix it. So I don't care how long you've been doing your routine for, if you're not getting any results from it, it's been months, it's been years, you need to try something different. As far as the arms are concerned, a lot of naturals do lack in this department, and I'm a firm believer that you just have to start hitting them directly. I do think that the big compound lifts definitely have their place and they're gonna give you the bulk of the growth, but you still have to isolate your arms, especially if you don't have good genetics in that department. So the number one tip I'll be giving you guys in today's episode is mechanical drop sets. And keep in mind, this is nothing new under the sun. All the information is already on the internet. You just have to go out and find it, but I'm just giving you guys my personal experience on what I've been learning about MD, known as mechanical drop sets. So first things first, it's important to understand that every intensity technique, every exercise is simply a tool in the toolbox, and you use the right tool for the right job. And some tools you may never even touch in your life, but you may give it to a client, you may refer it to someone if you happen to be a coach, whatever the case is. But in the case of this video, MD, mechanical drop sets, this is a tool you definitely want to start using in your training if your arms are lagging. Because for those of you who don't already know, first off, mechanical drop sets, when you start with an exercise where you could use the least amount of weight, followed by directly using an exercise you could use moderate weight, and you even have the option of doing a third or fourth exercise where you could use more weight. So my classic example would be skull crusher with the easy bar. Do it to the forehead, you do maybe 10 reps, you go to failure. Once you can no longer do that, as opposed to ending the set, now you could do maybe like a pullover motion where you roll back, and now you'll be having some extra help from the lats. But keep in mind the tricep long head is working for a longer period of time during the set. So you're basically extending the set. And once you can no longer do the roll back extension, now you could just put your hands close and do a close grip press. This is actually very popularized by a lot of bodybuilders, and it works like a charm because this will actually take the arms to absolute failure. So I like to think of it like a sponge. If you have a wet sponge and you just kind of squish it, that's kind of like a regular skull crusher. There might still be some water in that sponge. But a mechanical drop set, on the other hand, is when you squish the watery sponge, so you get some water out, and now you're twisting it. So by the end of the set, there's nothing left. Your triceps are completely smoked, and this works very well, in my opinion, for smaller muscle groups like delts, biceps, triceps, even the forearms. Now, I haven't done any experimentation on the back training, chest. I think you should just stick to the basics with that. But as far as the smaller muscle groups are concerned, if you've been trying a lot of basic straight sets, basic barbell, easy bar, skull crushers, all these exercises, and you haven't been getting much results, you might want to try MD to spice up your training. You're probably thinking, why not just do regular drop sets as opposed to MD? And the reason why I like MD a lot more than regular drop sets, even though regular drop sets are a great tool to have in your disposal, I personally like MD better because you don't have to reduce the weight. There's also no transition period of picking other dumbbells off the ground. Your hand is on the weight the whole time, throughout the whole duration of the set, and you're using the exact same weight throughout the whole transition. So for those skull crushers, rolling skull crushers, and close grip presses, using the same amount of weight, and there is no rest between any of the variations. Just going bam, 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 failure, 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 and then you're completely smoked. And keep in mind that if you're doing 5 sets of skull crushers and curls at the end of all your workouts, if you apply MD, you're also saving time because you'll only need to do around 3 sets. I wouldn't even start with more than 3 sets for now because you're gonna be way too sore. So you could even start with 1 or 2 sets and you'll probably be smoked with that for the rest of the week. But over time, you could gradually add more sets, or if you want, you could even extend the set of the MD, which I could explain later on. As far as who drove me and who inspired me to start training my arms with MD for most of my arm sets, it was basically Tom Platz. In an old seminar, he brought someone to the forefront, made them do a set of hamstring curls to absolute failure, where he brought them to concentric failure and then eccentric failure, and the guy was completely gassed. He had nothing left in the tank, and that really inspired me because it showed me how much muscle damage one can do within 1 set. So I started applying that to my arm training with the MD, even though it's a little bit different from him, and it works like a charm, like the sponge example that I mentioned before. So I'm really excited for what it's gonna do for my arms, but I'm equally as excited to see what it's gonna do for you guys and your progress as well. So without further ado, let's get into some examples and let's get into it. So there's many different ways to apply MD to the arms. This is one of my favorite ways, especially for triceps with dumbbells. Got the neutral grip, which improves the alignment of the shoulder, elbow, and the wrist. So it's very friendly in those areas. And I also like to elevate the feet, which puts me in more of a tuck position. It tucks the pelvis and I'm forced into less extension. So you do the regular variation of the skull crusher to the forehead around to shoulder. Once you can no longer do that, you do that what I'm just doing right now, which is basically with the rollback. So now you got help from the lats, but you also got some tricep long head action in there. And you crank out as many reps as you can with that until you can't do anymore. And then you could go to some neutral grip presses for speed. And keep in mind your triceps are gassed, but you also have help from your front delts now along with your chest muscles. So if you want to torture yourself even more, you could do slow negatives, pauses. You could torture your arms so much more. This is just an MD set where I'm combining 3 lifts, but you could do a lot more. So now this is a bicep and forearm superset, or should I say mechanical drop set, where I'm basically starting off with the reverse curl, and I go to a regular curl, then I go to a half reverse curl, and then a half regular curl. I actually got this from the Viper channel, VIPAR, and it's really good if you want to tax your biceps along your forearms. But you could also tax just your biceps alone or your forearms alone, but I combine both into one set. And yeah, it works very well. Completely smokes them. And as you can see, I'm frying them even more with the reverse curls with the bottom half. So when you don't think you could do any more, you could do a lot more. And that's what today's episode is all about. With MD, you're really taking all the water out of that sponge and you're bringing them to absolute failure. So here's some other ideas. If you want to just do, for example, a forearm MD, you could start with a 3-inch fat grip with hammer curls. Then you could do alternating hammer curls with the fat grip. Then you could do regular hammer curls without the fat grip and then alternating. So as you can see, I gave you guys a list of different MD sets you could do. And just get creative with it, have fun. And if you're really trying to bring up your biceps like me, I'd be better off doing MD sets with more supinated style curls. Alright, so there you guys have it. Give MD a try the next time you train arms and you won't be disappointed. At the bare minimum, give it a try. And if it's not for you, just know that you have this tool at your disposal and you can maybe refer it to somebody else. But overall, I'm really happy about it. And I'm going to keep milking the gains of MD. And I hope you try it out as well. So see you guys next time.